Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. We've got a leaked House Intel Committee document that reveals the existence of a second Las Vegas shooter, Australian concert producer Brian Hodge, as well as a third suspected shooter. And before we get into that, I also have some background information, just a basic background check on Marilou Danley, and it indicates that she's still related to Geary Danley, and that also she worked or works for the FBI. And I'll share information about that on the screen. Hodge was staying in the room next door to Stephen Paddock during the Mandalay Bay massacre and deliberately misled authorities during his testimony and purposely disabled geolocation tracking on his cell phone during the attack, according to documents. There's a report several discrepancies and inconsistencies in Hodge's testimony to LVMPD and interviews are expounded upon in great detail, and it is even mentioned that he withheld information from law enforcement. When one considers the possibility of a suspect second shooter or accomplice, there is one individual who is a potential person, and that's Brian Albert Hodge, who publicly claimed to have been staying in the room next to Mr. Paddock. Brian Hodge traces to Social Security account number, the last four numbers, 4038, but it appears that it could be a fake identity or a false identity. Mr. Hodge hails from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales, Australia, and his social media profile claims that he specializes in concert promotion and production. Searches into his background have returned with much data, but even more important is the discovery of information known to be his legacy DNA data, which was willfully concealed and or deleted by him following the events of 1 October. Persons who delete their digital footprints often believe that it is gone permanently and forever when it is not. The data can be recovered through a number of different tools available to government officials and investigators. And it says here Mr. Hodge is linked to many addresses in the West Hollywood, California area. His digital footprint reveals his residence as of October 1st, 2017 in West Hollywood, California, since at least January 4th, 2016. However, it appears that he has recently moved, and that was as of November 2017. This is somewhat of an older article, and that he is now receiving credit card bills in a different location in West Hollywood. And I'll share that article and the picture of his driver's license. It'll be on the screen. Laura Loomer, an investigative journalist, obtained a photo of Hodge Mandalay Bay invoice, which revealed the actual room he was staying in as 32314 at the time of the shooting. This contradicts his original claim that he stayed in room number 32134, the one right next to Paddock. Room 32134 was also paid for under the name of Marilou Danley, Paddock's girlfriend. The report appears to connect Hodge to both locations, presenting evidence that he may have been attempting to obscure his actual location during the time of the shooting took place. Analysts contributing to the report presented evidence indicating Hodge was actually staying in both rooms, which would account for his multiple conflicting testimonies to police and reporters. There's some additional information I'm going to share on the screen. Las Vegas Brian Hodge connected to Marilou Danley. Brian Hodge, the man that claimed he was staying in 32134 next to Paddock, is a special event organizer for a marketing company and has connections with hotel and casino companies in Gold Coast, Australia, where Marilou Danley's family resides, and the Las Angeles Gun Club. So before I forget, I wanted to mention that if Hodge has a connection to that actual concert, the Route 91 Harvest Festival concert, in that venue, since that is his area of one of his areas of profession, it would account and explain why the lights were turned on to allow shooters to see victims to shoot. I also heard that not only does Hodge have the connection with the Australian company, but that he actually worked at a resort that Marilou Danley worked at. Or in other words, that there was a closer connection than just that. In addition to Hodge, another suspect was listed in the leaked report. His name is Mehmet Cockengel, and he owns a restaurant in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a place Hodge reportedly visited. While in New Mexico, Mr. Hodge appears to travel to the Anatolia Donor Kebab House located at 313 Central Avenue, Northwest, Suite B, Albuquerque, New Mexico, zip code 87102. This restaurant address is affiliated with numerous other businesses in the Albuquerque area and is owned by Mr. Mehmet Cockengel and Umet Cockengel. Mr. Mehmet Cockengel appears to be a Turkish national from Turkey, Adana, Turkey, a known center of Islamic State activity in Turkey. So, it could be that Hodge was part of the organization of shooters who were hired to do this. Further investigation reveals that Cockengel used an older photograph on his Facebook page in a dishonest way, and that he has not published on Facebook since the week of the attack. Such a possible second shooter would likely have adopted a cover and appeared as just another hotel guest. If confronted in the hallway, this second shooter's cover story would have been that he was in a room adjacent to the incident in order to account for his presence on any expected security camera footage or his observation by other persons in the hallway. This would have been an effective cover to exit the hotel, as it was understood at the time of the attack that the incident only involved room 32135. It wasn't until the time, approximately 11:20 p.m., of the SWAT breach of room 32135 that police learned that room 32134 was also part of the crime scene and attack. If confronted in the hallway or later by police, the second shooter could simply have stated that he was in the room next door to room 32135 as his or her cover story. Similarly, it would also not be unusual or even suspicious to see a person running from the area and creating a greater panic, which would further increase the chaos level and provide additional cover for escape. Hodge identifies himself as staying inside the shooter's suite, located on the 32nd floor during the time of the attack, departing the floor via the elevator, exiting the hotel through the kitchen, and hiding in the bushes for 3.5 hours. Mr. Hodge withholds significant information from the interviewers and does not disclose the fact that he has found shelter in the Vdara Hotel or describe his exposure to weapons firing until prodded by the investigators. Mr. Hodge describes in vivid detail the view from the 32nd floor as the victims were cut down with sweeping shots, and uses the term full on to excitedly describe the attack. Mr. Hodge knows that Mr. Paddock brought a specific hammer that is designed to break that glass, double pane or bulletproof, or whatever casino glass is made of, in order to shatter the windows of the hotel suite. So this is interesting. Hodge admits that he knew about the plan, admits that he knew that the shooting was going to occur, knows specific details, knows about the the hammer that was going to be used to break the windows. And of course, we know that was a staged crime scene. So it's obvious that Hodge was a major part of what happened. Mr. Hodge claims he was monitoring social media and listening to police live scans. Mr. Hodge claimed, quote, the need to get us outside the casino, unquote, to kitchen employees, which was possibly in order to avoid the imminent lockdown of the hotel or to avoid cameras. Mr. Hodge states in his interview, there are 100-odd shots, which is a strange coincidence given the use of 100-round Surefire magazines. The picture below from Mr. Paddock's room depicts a rifle with this type of magazine affixed. Mr. Hodge expresses concerns about quote, how to demonstrate we are civilians, unquote, as well as a general fear of getting shot by the police. As this evidence was leaked, the source identity is being withheld for their safety. Members of the House Intel Committee did not respond to requests for comment, but given the vast amount of sensitive data contained within its 52 pages, it seems highly unlikely this is a forgery. We will continue to update this story as new information becomes available, and we'll release more pages from the report after they're examined by our tech experts to determine if photos were manipulated.